Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black Man Speak. I'm your co-host, the multidimensional J.R. Stewart.
And I'm your co-host, the Tommy D. Duncan III, otherwise known as TD3. Jimmy, it is Wednesday night, June the 5th, Jimmy, and if it is Wednesday night,
it's certainly Black Man Speak. So let's give a big shout out to Liquid for providing our theme music, which I jammed to before the show. If you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when our new shows are uploaded, which is every Wednesday night. Also, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button so you can help us with the algorithm. And also, Tom, I know we have another jam-packed show, but I know we said this before, but it's worth saying it again. There's only one place to come if you want to get informative news about what's going on in the Black community. Without a lot of jokes and laughter, and there was nothing wrong with that, but we are a serious news station, and when, like Keisha Jones said, we're not for play. So with that being said, Tom, let's do what we do best, which is keep our listening and watching audience informed of what's going on. So let's go.
All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get this party started right. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. I'm going to be kind of moving to a different tune. I had some technology issues within the last couple of days, but we learned to adapt. We are going to start out with birthday babies for this week, and going to start out. I may have to lean on my cohort in crime, Jimmy, when we need to get some of the images up because it may be cutting them off on my end. But first, we do have a birthday baby today on June the 5th. The 16 Grammy Award-winning nominee, Brian McKnight, who is a singer, songwriter, producer, and pretty much musical extraordinaire. For those of you who are old school, especially love to listen to good music, Brian Knight has a birthday today. So if you happen to know him and have him in your Rolodex, make sure you give him a holler because his birthday is today. So again, happy birthday to Brian McKnight. All right, next birthday baby is going to be tomorrow, June the 6th, Jimmy. And I know anybody who listens to any music of any sort knows the name Jimmy Jam, who has partnered with Terry Lewis. Yeah. Exactly, in essence, probably one of the most
Jackson, Prince. They produced a ton of hits, and a lot of artists. You realize that they produced the music, but their sound, when they put their touch on whatever it is, they have a very distinct sound that's uniquely theirs. So you know that this body of work has been part of their work. But yes, his birthday is tomorrow.
Yep, birthday tomorrow on June the 6th. 31 top 10 hits in the United Kingdom, 41 top 10 hits in the United States, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2022, which, given the number of decades that they've been making music, I'm surprised that they just got inducted in 2022. But hey, better late than never. So happy birthday by one day early to the great Jimmy Jam. And you can't really say Jimmy Jam without saying Terry Lewis. So happy birthday to Jimmy Jam.
That's a team, Tom. You say one, you got to say the other.
Absolutely. So early happy birthday. We wish you the best on another birthday. Next, on June the 8th, in a couple of days, coming up this weekend, our fraternity brother Jimmy, Keenan Ivory Wayans. He is a producer, movie maker, writer.
Movie star.
Absolutely. Movie star, Jimmy. And, for those of you, you don't really see him in front of the camera as much. Of course, he made a couple of movies I'm Gonna Get You Sucker,
Low Down
Jimmy.
Dirty Shame, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Yes, very funny
And
movie.
of course, and if you don't remember this, and if you're too young to know this, In Living Color, some of the greatest sketch comedy you'll ever see.
Very talented man and talented family, Tom.
The entire Wayans family,
Very talented.
exactly. So happy birthday to you, Keenan Fratt, on June the 8th as
I was
well.
sick.
Exactly. And last, definitely not least, on June the 10th, coming up early next week, we have another talented actor, probably not as known as some of the others. Frankie Faison, has been in a lot of movies. He is what you call one of those working actors, not an A-lister per se. You're not going to see him leading in a lot of films, but he has just been, consistently working in the motion picture industry for decades upon decades. Jimmy, probably the movie that I remember him most, of course, or one of the movies, is Coming to America, when he was the landlord.
Oh, was he? Okay. I was trying to think where I've seen him before.
Yeah, he was the landlord in Coming to America when. Of course, Eddie Murphy was trying to find a very meager place to stay, and
I
he
was saying,
goes
was he the landlord of the good building or the piece of crap building?
the piece of crap building. He said he's looking for someplace meager. He said, "I got a room that'll fit you real well."
Oh, boy.
He opened the door. It was rats and flies all over the place. He's like, "This is a good meager apartment for you." So at any rate, happy birthday, Frankie, coming up on next week on June the 10th. And Jimmy, I would be remiss if I did not, even though I'm a couple of days early, acknowledge another birthday coming up on June the 9th. My lovely mother, Elnora Jean Patterson, now Elnora Jean Stokes, has a birthday coming up on June the 9th. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you very much until my last dying breath. And I know she's going to have a great birthday this weekend. So those are our birthday babies for today, Jimmy and folks. Anyone else who has a birthday coming up, happy birthday to you as well.
Now, Tom, let everybody know that we don't just do celebrity birthdays. So if you have one coming up, or you know someone coming up, and let us know, and we will certainly give them a shout out. We want to make sure that all the birthdays are celebrated, no matter who you are.
Yep. All right, Jimmy. Well, I think it is that time. We're only about 10 minutes after the hour, but it is time for our music appreciation segment of the program, and I'm going to have Jimmy to explain it, just in case there are any newbies out there who haven't been on the show in a while and like, well, what are they doing playing music? Jimmy's going to kind of explain the contest, and we're going to have a little fun, Jimmy. So I'll yield the floor.
Yeah. It's a little early. So it's simple. We play a song generally around a quarter after the hour, and then a quarter till. So 15 minutes into the show, and then the next one is 45 minutes into the show. And the first person to type in the artist of record, that's a legal term, and then the name of the song, you get 1 point for the name of the artist if you get it correct, and 1 point for the name of the song to the first person who enters it into the chat line. So you need to have your fingers at the ready, but also because of Tom, we made a slight change. No longer will the songs include the name of the song. So we've instead of just getting the first 30 seconds, 45 seconds, or a minute of the song, we're now searching through the song to find 30 seconds or more where they don't mention the name of the song. Due to we have TD3 to thank for that. So you truly have to know. You can't just listen now and get the name of the song anymore, thanks to Tommy, because he wanted to make sure that we were not tipping anyone off who's listening. So you truly have to know the name of the song, the name of the artist. Be the first one to type it in. You get up to 2 points. If you get both correct on both videos for the night, you can get up to 4 points. At the end of the season, somewhere around November, December, we will come up with a Black Man Speak gift to give to the winner. and so we're keeping tabs and keeping score for everyone. So, Tom, you say you're ready?
Yeah, why don't we do this before we play the music? We have a couple of folks on the chat line. I want to acknowledge them
Okay,
before we get started. So we have
sure.
Miss Audrey K. Booker, cousin Audrey K. Want to thank you for joining us.
Audrey.
Of course, she's always online. I think she may have been on got in on this last week a little bit. And then we have, this is interesting, Barack O. Cosby on the chat line as well. Not exactly sure.
Okay.
I think this is the first time we've had Barack O. Cosby on the line. So welcome, Barack O. Cosby. Thank you for joining us. We have Miss Carol Wilson, who is on the chat line as well. I want to thank her for joining us. And we have, interesting, Missy the Goat. Missy the Goat, who is on the chat line as well. I think that may be a first time for Missy the Goat as well. I don't think I've seen her.
So also, Tom. I think you're right.
Okay, and Miss Celia Reese. Miss Celia Reese, good evening.
Celia from the book club.
Yes, Sister Celia. Want to thank you for joining us as well. Of course, we have our good friend and supporter, Uncle Assar, otherwise known as Assar Kabulon, who is joining us as well for this evening. So just wanted to make sure that we get some shout outs.
Yeah, be sure to catch Uncle Assar's show, his podcast. Do you know what day he does his show, Tom?
You know, I'm not exactly sure. They may do the show on different days. Jimmy, I know that they were his partner in crime on that is out of South Africa, and I know that they were having some platform issues in terms of the Wi-Fi out there, so they put it back a little bit. But I'm pretty sure they will be joining us pretty soon. Messiah the Goat is my first time, and maybe tell us where you're from, Messiah. Messiah the Goat, tell us where you're from, so we'll know where you're going to be hailing in from, and thank you for joining us this evening. So whenever you get a chance, let us know where you're at, Messiah. All right, Jimmy, I think we're about ready to get started. We will be watching the chat line to see who is our winner for our first song today.
All right, this is the group. You should know them. You should know this song. Get your fingers be at the ready at the keyboard, because here we go.
Nothing stays the same, but love will stand the test of time. The next life that we live in remains to be seen. Will you be by my side? 'Cause I often pray before I lay down by your side. And if you receive your calling before I awake, could I make it through the night?
Okay. It seems like we temporarily. Oh, there he is. We lost the video feed for Tom, but I see it's reinitializing. So we'll just give it a few seconds for Tom to get back online.
Okay, I am back.
You're back. So,
all righty.
So what say you, Judge?
All right. It looks like the first person to get the artist right is Assar Kabulon.
Uncle Assar, okay.
Okay, and let's see here. I'm waiting to. We still haven't got anyone who's gotten the full name yet. Gotten the full name in one line. We've gotten part of it, but we haven't gotten all of it yet. So we're still waiting to see who's going to get the full name first of the song. Okay, it looks like Miss Carol has got the full name first. So
all right.
Uncle Assar got the name of the group, of course, Kool and the Gang. And Miss Carol was the first to get the name, Cherish the Love.
There we go. So that's how we roll here. So sometimes the points can be split. But I do believe, Tom, you're the scorekeeper. Is Uncle Assar still in the lead, or is it?
You know, that's a good question. I'll have to add all of that up.
Okay.
To see where we are, because I've just been doing it week by week, but I haven't added everybody up as of right now. But I know he's definitely in play. We got Miss Carol in play. Miss Tanya in play, I
Miss
think.
Tanya was very hot for a while.
And then we got cousin. I think cousin Audrey K may have gotten appointed too as well. So
Okay. All right. So we're off to a good start. So
All
Tom,
right.
let's move on to our next story. This goes back to what happened. We reported on this. The young airman who was shot to death by a deputy sheriff in Florida. And so we have some updates. And certainly this is worth talking about because there are some points that we need to make sure that our people understand. When I say our people, I mean Black people when you're dealing with law enforcement. So let's do you want to give the update?
Well, Jimmy, this is a brief update that happened a couple of days ago. We reported last week where a deputy in Florida unfortunately murdered a service airman, Roger Forston. And at the time that we were reporting on the story, they were, of course, investigating the circumstances. What we do know right now, Jimmy, is that the deputy that did kill him, albeit without cause or provocation, has been fired from the department that he was at. Jimmy, we don't have a lot of detail as to the circumstances, but what we do know is that the sheriff basically said that he killed Roger without cause, without provocation. He has been fired from the force, Jimmy. So we are still waiting on more details to come as to what's going to happen next on that. But that is definitely some progress. It's, I guess, a good thing that he has been fired. I am expecting that there should be some type of lawsuit following from the family as well, that hopefully we'll get more details on pretty soon, because unfortunately they're not going to get their loved one back.
No, they're not, Tom. And this is why we have to be careful, especially young Black men when dealing with law enforcement, to be on your best behavior, be respectful, do your absolute best to de-escalate a situation. In this case, he had no time. He had no time, Tom. He had
Correct.
his hand up. We don't know if he was willing to say, hold on for a minute, let me put this away. We don't know. He didn't make a movement as if it was threatening.
Correct.
And so this officer is fired, but he gets to pick the pieces of his life and go on, whereas this young man is dead. His life stopped. So there is no going on. There may be a few coins for the family. I'm pretty sure the county is going to settle out of court because they don't want this to go to court. But on top of that, Tom, we know how difficult it is for reporting on these type of stories, how difficult it is to file and get a criminal conviction against law enforcement. And so I know earlier that you used the term murder, but that kind of requires some intent on the part. And I don't know if there was any intent other than it was just stupidity to start shooting a person simply because they're holding a gun pointing to the ground. You don't know if the gun's loaded. You don't know if the person is going to be of any threat to you. You didn't even talk to the individual, you talk them down. Tommy just opened the door, sees that he has a gun and just starts shooting. So we probably could be looking at a manslaughter charge. We'll see if there's any charges to be filed at all. I suspect there probably won't. That they'll probably try to do their best to settle this, fire the officer, and move on in life. But I hope that the parents will survive them. Maybe set up a scholarship fund in his name, or the military steps in and do some kind of award in his name or an honor.
Quite frankly, we shouldn't be we shouldn't be satisfied with anything short of jail time for this criminal.
I agree.
That's exactly what it is. What he unfortunately did was a criminal act. Even though
definitely negligent manslaughter, because he should have known better. You just don't open fire I know they said that the officer identified himself when they came to the door, but this young man was FaceTiming with his girlfriend online. So we don't know if he heard the knocks or the girlfriend notified him of the knocks. But if he had headphones on, there's a good chance he didn't hear the knocks, because today's headphones have noise cancellation built into them. so you don't hear outside noise when you have your headphones on. So he may not have heard the knocks or the sheriff identifying himself. I know they say he had a peephole in the door, but doesn't look like he looked through the peephole, or they even knew that there was a sheriff officer there. He just opened the door, not knowing who's on the other side of the door, and holding his gun just in case it's someone he doesn't want to deal with. But from what I saw, him putting his hands up as if to say, like hold on.
Exactly.
Getting ready to say, like, hold on. I don't know. Let me put this away, or let me put this down, or now that I see who it is. But before he can even say anything, Tom, it's just shot, and 6 shots to the chest is not doesn't make for survivability. So I believe he died either en route to the hospital or at the hospital.
Absolutely negligent, Jimmy. And what you also have to remember, this is not a civilian who he murdered. This is someone, of course, who is in the military, which means that they are trained just like law enforcement are trained in a certain way. And so they respond in a certain way. And so when you look at the video, for those who are out there, hopefully if you've not seen the video, you can look at the video, but be very guarded because it can be very traumatic. Is that, it is very clear that the gun is pointed down. He puts his hand out when the law enforcement officer opened the door. And at that point in time, Jimmy, I don't even think I counted a second until he
wasn't even a second time. It was as soon as he put his hands up to say, okay, so hold on. Before he can say anything, he just hand went up and then bam, 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 all the shots started ringing. So, but even Tom, if he is convicted of some kind of a homicide, negligent homicide, in a few years, he still get to move on with his life. So and this is why it is important that we teach our young boys how to do the absolute best to de-escalate situations. Do not talk to law enforcement crazy. Be very respectful. If they do something wrong, get their badge number, get their name, file a complaint. But you do everything you can do to make sure you live till tomorrow. Because if they shoot and kill you, your family may pick up a few coins from a wrongful death lawsuit, but your life has come to an end and has come to a stop. And so we're all at a loss at that point because we don't know what that young man could contribute to overall society.
I would agree, Jimmy. And sometimes even when you talk to your children, especially young Black men, that is not enough because you can be unarmed, you can be visible, you can be in a non-threatening position, and you still will lose your life. And more than likely, if you are a Black male, you are more than likely to lose your life than if you are a white male under the same set of circumstances. Because quite frankly, with everything that we see, the way that our law enforcement are trained, we look at the foundation of law enforcement is, we look at the unfortunate tropes that go along with Black males in mass media. For whatever reason, we have this tendency to be in a threatening posture, even when we are unthreatening at all. So when you think of Tamir Rice, you think of Mike Brown, you think of other young men, unarmed, we're not a threat to anybody, but they feel that lethal force is necessary. It's unacceptable, and we have to continue to fight. We have to continue to fight to make sure that this doesn't happen again, even though we know it does. You mentioned
training, Tom, which I believe better training needs to be implemented, but even on these simulated training courses, this is measured across the board, so it's not a color thing. It's not like white cops pull the trigger faster than Black cops or Hispanic cops. Tom, the test results show that when it comes to shooting an innocent person on that course, that there's like a half a second faster trigger pull on the mistakes for Blacks than it is for whites. So just keep that in mind that it may not be a conscious act. It just seemed like law enforcement, and I understand some of it, because law enforcement, stats also bear out on traffic pullovers, and they're 4 times more likely to lose their life to a Black person, Black male, than anyone else. So maybe that's part of it, but I think better training and more. I don't know if we have to start stopping people and have them get out, rather than having cops walk up to cars and roll down a window. I'm okay with that. If you need to knock on a door and then step to the side and wait for a person to open the door and talk to them from the side, I'm okay. I mean, whatever you have to do that will maybe make things better, as opposed to being there and having to pull a gun out because you believe your life is. And that's what the officer said. He believed his life was threatened at that point.
How do you explain that, given what's on the video?
You can't, Tom. Not to any reasonable people. That's not even reasonable to think that your life is in danger simply because he's pointing a gun down to the ground, which he had every legal right in his place, in his apartment, to do that. Now, you should have asked him to put the gun down, let's secure the gun somewhere, let this other deputy hold the gun while we take a look around the apartment, make sure there's no one else in danger or hurt. Because we got a complaint of domestic violence, so they have to go into the apartment. They have to make sure that no one's hurt. But once you've done that, give the gun back to him and move on with your life.
This is my question, though, Jimmy. He was shot how many times?
6 to the chest.
Why do you have to shoot him 6 times? Not once, not twice.
Because he only had 6 bullets chambered in the gun. If he had 8 or 10, it would have been 8 or 10. But he basically just was shooting.
So they're trained to kill, not to stop, not to neutralize, not to de-escalate. They're trained to kill an innocent man.
No, they're generally trained, Tom, to try to de-escalate the situation unless you're in harm's way or you have to use deadly force to keep someone else safe. But in this particular case, the common element is someone has to be in danger. And just him holding the gun pointing to the ground without him moving. Now, I didn't like that he pulled the gun up and pointed at you. It would be different. But just the gun, just you seeing the gun and start shooting is not reasonable that you can claim that your life was, that you were in fear for your life. There needs to be some threatening move first. You already got your gun out. So you've already beat him to the punch. If he was to raise that gun up, they're not going to understand. But when he just pointing to the ground, you have your gun out. Now you have control of the situation where you can just order him to lower the gun to the ground, step outside, let the other deputy take possession of the gun just for our own safety. Let us check and do our job, and then make sure nobody's hurt and there's no domestic violence taking place here. You say you're online talking to your girlfriend. Okay, then let's see your iPad or your phone and verify that. Let's just take a quick look around, make sure no one's hurt in the apartment, and then we'll go. I mean, that's it. That's the end of it. But for him to open the door and you just start shooting a second later, Tom, is just way too quick for you to claim that you're in fear. He could have been in fear, but it's not reasonable for you to be in fear. And on top of that, Tom, not that it matters that much, but you have a life vest on. Even if he were to try to shoot you, there's still a good chance that you're going to survive the exchange because you got a life protector on or a bulletproof vest, and he doesn't. And you've already beat him to the draw because you had your gun drawn.
Well, we're going to move on from this in a few, but I would say this, and I believe I said this last week. The behavior will not change until the consequences are dire, more dire. We cannot continue in a country that professes to be based upon life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, to continue to wantonly murder people based upon specific demographics. And again, the behavior will continue until the consequences change for them. They not only need to lose their livelihood, they need to lose their pension. This dude here needs to, quite frankly, have jail time, because you're right. Mr. Forston doesn't get his life back. His family members don't get a loved one back. He needs to do jail time. He's a criminal.
No arguments for me on that one.
All right, let's continue to move on to our next story, Jimmy. Interesting story that just came out. I believe it was late last week. There were a couple of Matter of fact, we've got a couple of responses here on the line. Brother Zamil from Zamil is on the line as well. I want to thank him for joining us this evening. And JSME, Jasme, absolutely, brother, that's 100% correct. Not exactly sure who he was responding to, but absolutely. So let's go ahead and continue to move forward. Jimmy,
Okay.
Very interesting story came out late last week about eight young men, I don't know if all of them were young, who were removed from an American Airlines flight.
Right.
And the only thing that seemed to be coincidental about all of them is they happen to all be African American. They all happen to be Black. And supposedly it was because of some body odor. This is the thing, Jimmy.
Someone said they didn't, the body odor.
Yeah, but none of them knew each other, and none of them were sitting in the same place. But
Yes,
all
I
eight,
just can't believe that they're sitting in different places, and somehow you can smell, no matter where they're sitting on the plane, that you can still smell each and every one of them. 8 people? You must have a canine nose if you can do that.
and I don't believe there was a K9 on the flight, Jimmy, but all of these brothers were singled out. 8 of them didn't know each other, sitting in different places, and were removed from the flight because of a so-called body odor. Things that make you go. 3 of them are going to, or in the process of filing a lawsuit against American Airlines. I am not aware that American Airlines has responded as of yet, or made a statement, better yet, pertaining to the lawsuit. But 3 of these 8 men are going to be filing a lawsuit against American Airlines. Of course, we know that American Airlines is based in the DFW area where both of us are, Jimmy. Technically in Tarrant County, I believe it's Fort Worth, Texas. And, I know there's a lot that goes on. I know that the first priority is safety when it comes to flying across state or across the world. But Jimmy, this one was pretty interesting. And I am very interested in finding out what the details are going to be that could have possibly influenced someone, flight attendant, whomever it was, to single out these 8 men who did not know each other, sitting in different places, and say that they had to be removed from the flight.
Yeah, Tom, I'm going to tell you, there have been times when maybe I had to travel early. And if that's the case, I'm just getting dressed. I may not be the freshest person getting on that plane, but I figure when I get to my destination, I'll clean up then. But I've never encountered that situation, even when I knew that I was not the freshest person on the plane. But I hope that in this particular case, once again, the penalty is very high. I hope they sue. I hope they win. I hope they get a lot of money. And because it seems money is the only thing that gets someone's attention for them to change the rules.
And because of course we're in Dallas, you're typically flying American, Southwest.
Right.
Obviously, there are a couple of other airlines that have, but really, either you're flying out of DFW Airport and it's American Airlines, or Delta or United or one of the other many airlines. But the majority of it, DFW is the American Airlines, and of course, Love Field is the Southwest Airports.
Right.
I mean, I will say that I've had some issues flying with American, but nothing of this nature. And Jimmy, I've flown quite a bit. I know you've flown quite a bit as well. I mean, typically my issue has been with the gate agents in terms of some customer service skills that they were sometimes lacking. But for lack of a better term, I'm pretty sure that just goes across the board. They have a very difficult job. But this one, Jimmy, this is, I'm hoping, an anomaly. But this could be a little bit expensive for American Airlines. Not that most folks who fly American Airlines really care about the state of affairs for these brothers, Jimmy, but you don't want a bad rap when it comes to this. The only good thing probably in American Airlines' favor is that in the DFW area, you don't really have a heck of a lot of options. And so the question
do
is,
have an option.
well,
you do. doesn't have a lot of options. So you're right about that because
Correct.
American Airlines is king here. But
Exactly.
I've been on a plane. I've had someone sit next to me. You know how people go out and drink, and then the next day you can like smell it in their skin. They
Yes,
just
the
reek of
alcohol.
alcohol, not through their breath, but even all through their skin, their clothes. I've had someone sit next to me that was like that, and I'm not a big drinker. You know that, and so this was very offensive to me to be sitting next to someone, and I could just smell alcohol come out their pores. But I do remember turning that vent on above me to get a stream of air to blow in my face so I wouldn't have to smell it. So, that kind of countered that. Whoever was making this complaint about some offensive odor should have just used the air vent, the air that's provided to every passenger. You get a stream of fresh air blowing right in your face by just reaching up and turning it on. And then angling and pointing wherever you want to.
Yeah, Jimmy, this is going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see what the outcome of this one is going to be, Jimmy. I'm hoping that American Airlines will have to write a nice fat check.
Well, them and their insurance company, but yes, let's hope that in the end a big fat check comes out of that. Is that one of the gentlemen there, Tom?
Yep, that is one of the gentlemen here, Jimmy. And
okay, that's a well-dressed man with a jacket on. I'm pretty sure if he's taking the time to get his attire straight, that he put some deodorant and cologne on. So I'm not going to buy that young. If it was me in my holy shorts, a raggedy T-shirt or something, hair on comb, it would be different. You can probably make the case that he didn't put deodorant on before he rushed off to the airport, and probably 80% of the time you may be correct, depending on what time of the morning. But that young man, I would vouch for and say, if he took the time out to clean himself up based on his attire, that BO was not his problem.
I wouldn't think so, Jimmy. And I have a very difficult time believing what I guess the flight attendant and or the pilot may have said about all of these guys who didn't know each other in different places. You're trying to tell me every one of them had an issue? I just don't happen to believe it, Jimmy. And we'll see what happens. We're going to continue to monitor this case.
I believe they found another flight for him, but Tom, it's like 4 hours later.
Right.
You don't know.
Exactly. And they tried to get them booked on a different flight. So if they had an issue that was so egregious, they took 8 men off, all of them black male, to get them rebooked on a flight. Really? So we will continue to monitor this. I'll let you know once we get updates on this story. And this is going to be an interesting one, Jimmy, as well. So definitely wish them the best. I mean, if I dumped my American Airlines stock a long time ago because it wasn't doing worth a crap anyway. But if I had some American Airlines stock, Jimmy, I'd be dumping it right now.
Well, if we have any lawyers who do practice torts, you may want to reach out to these 8 because that commission may be pretty hefty in the end.
All right, Jimmy, let's get on to our next story. We've got a few things in sports, Jimmy. And of course, we promised we were going to get to the NBA Finals this week. But before we do that, Jimmy, some very, very sad news that we have to report. Jimmy, one of the, I would consider, greatest linemen of all times, one of the greatest NFL players of all time, Jimmy, Larry Allen, Dallas Cowboy Ring of Honor, NFL Hall of Famer, died this past weekend, I believe it was, or maybe it was last Friday when he and his family were in Mexico, Jimmy. And I mean, this stunned everyone because Larry was only 52 years old.
Tom, I can't remember, but he's 52 years old. He died in Mexico vacationing. I hope it wasn't the water, Tom. But I haven't heard about the autopsy report to find out what the cause was. But yes, definitely the best lineman in the Cowboys franchise history.
Arguably one of the best in the NFL.
And definitely probably top 3 in NFL history. So he could definitely be considered one of the GOATs. Tom, I knew that Larry Allen was going to be a star when he came to the team. And I don't know if you remember but the rivalry we would have with Philadelphia.
Oh, yes.
And Reggie Williams was a beast.
Yep.
He was just a wrecking ball of a defensive player, defensive end at that time. And then you get this young rookie offensive lineman the Cowboys just picked up, who, Tom, all game long kept Reggie in place, no sacks. He may have had 1 or 2 tackles, but he didn't have a Reggie-like game. And the experts had predicted that he was going to just destroy this rookie. But Larry Allen won that battle. And from that point on, there was no looking back because that's what he gave you every game. Those kind of performance. You didn't want to line up in front of Larry Allen. On top of that time, he could bench press. I saw him bench press over 700 pounds. The bar had so much weight on it that it bent. You know, when you see that logo for Gold's Gym, they have a bent bar. That was Larry Allen's doing bench presses. He was definitely one of the strongest with his squats and bench press. But yeah, he could bench press over 700 pounds, Tom. I thought the bar was going to break. It had so much weight on it, the way it would be bent as he was lifting it up.
Yeah, Jimmy. He was a man among men, and in the NFL, there are a lot of tough dudes, and this dude here could handle up on anything. Again, one of the greatest offensive linemen, bar none, in the NFL. Definitely with the Dallas Cowboys, Jimmy. And I know that the NFL community, the Dallas Cowboys community, football fans all over the world would definitely miss him. I believe he was an 11-time Pro Bowler, Jimmy.
12.
12. Okay, good deal. I thought it was 11.
Double digits.
Gotcha.
He's the only player to ever make the Pro Bowl double. I think it was 12. But we have a video, Tom, and they run off some of the stats. Let's play it real quick.
All right, let's have it.
Cue it up.
Cowboys great Larry Allen has passed away at the age of 52. He died yesterday when he was vacationing in Mexico with his family. Allen is one of the greatest offensive linemen to ever play the game and one of 3 Cowboys in history with double-digit Pro Bowl selections. A first ballot Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, and Ring of Honor member, he was known for strength, athleticism, and versatility. Troy Aikman, who played with him for 7 years, posted this. Just received the heartbreaking news of the passing of our beloved teammate, Larry Allen. He was a Hall of Fame offensive lineman that dominated opponents regardless of the position played. Off the field, he was a gentle giant that loved his family. Rest in peace, L.A. And fellow teammate Emmitt Smith posted this emotional video on Instagram.
I'm at a loss of words right now. Such a good dude. Great player. Super person. Just breaks my heart. And I know life is very fragile and we're only here for a moment. And we need to make the best out of every moment and not take people for granted. The one thing about Larry Allen I know, he had a big heart and he lived life to the fullest. A man of very few words, but on the football field was a beast.
Allen had an outstanding 14-year career with the Cowboys and the Niners. He was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2013. An 11-time Pro Bowler and was named first-team All-Pro in 6 straight seasons. In his second season, Allen and the Cowboys won Super Bowl 30. Marcus Spears joins us now to remember his former teammate. You played.
All right, Tom, I stand corrected. It was 11 straight Pro Bowls. I thought it was 12, but you're right. It was 11. I don't know if you can hear me, Tom, but you need to change the orientation of your video because you're now tilted 90 degrees. Okay. Tom is still having some technical issues. So we're going to move on with Black music history and do our second song of the night. Tom, you there? Can you hear me? Okay, I don't think Tom can hear us, and we certainly can't hear him. Let me send him a text real quick to say that we still can't hear you. All right. Okay. He may have to go out and come back in. But anyway, let's move on to our second song. And here's the thing, people, is that I can't see the chat line. So I'm not going to know who gets credit for the second song. But we're going to play it. And then when Tommy comes back, we'll break whatever story we're doing. And we will allow him to announce the point winners for this particular song. So here we go. You guys know the rule. The first person to list the artist or the artist of record and the title of the song, you get 1 point for each. And we're going to do our absolute best to make sure that the title of the song is not included in the song itself. So you guys can thank Tommy for that one. So here we go. The first one person, the first two people to type in the correct responses will get credit for different categories. Artist of record, a name of the song, or both. Here we go.
As you are the first thing on my mind, and in the middle of the night, I feel your heartbeat next to mine, and it feels like a dream when you love me tenderly. I don't know if you're for real, oh, but I like the way I feel inside my heart. You got me.
Okay, everyone. Get your responses in. Oh, there's Tom. It's a lot better.
Yes, I had to switch platforms, Jimmy. So I had to having technical difficulties, but we learned to adapt.
We learn to adapt. That's what we do. So, Tom, we played our second song, and I can't see the chat line, and I forgive me for my daughter's dog, who's we're dog sitting for, likes to bark at everything. But Tom, can you, as a judge, can you tell us?
It looks like the first person to get the artist, Mariah Carey.
Yes.
Okay, and let me see here. Emotions. Okay, so it looks like Marion Square was the first person to get the artist, which was Mariah Carey, and Marion Square was the first person to get the name of the song right with Emotions.
All right. Okay. We got some newbies on the scoreboard.
Yes.
This may turn it. For a minute there, I thought Carol and Tanya were going to run away with this, but Uncle Sars has jumped into the race, and we got some newcomers who are on the scoreboard now. So we got ourselves a competition.
Yep.
Congratulations to all the point winners.
So it looks like Marion Square got both the first to get the artist right, which was Mariah Carey, and then she was also the first to get the name, which was Emotions. And actually, Miss Chastity, yes, Miss Chastity was a close second. I didn't see Marion Square got it in right before Miss Chastity, but Miss Chastity was almost there.
All right. Okay. Well, congratulations.
Like Jay Smee came in right after Miss Chastity, Miss Tanya, and there we go. All right. So, folks, looks like this is starting to warm up. This is going to be a competition, Jimmy.
Yeah, I see. Like I said, I thought Carol and Tanya were going to run away with this, but
No,
we have
sir.
some other folks who decided to make it into a competition.
No, sir. All right, Jimmy. Let's get to our next story that also is very interesting, Jimmy. And this was one we have talked about before, just not in this context. What we just found out is that Major League Baseball has decided to integrate the stats from the Negro League Baseball
Yes.
into Major League Baseball statistics. And Jimmy, as a result, this is going to be some pretty interesting stuff. Understanding that for those of you who are a little bit younger, there, of course, was Negro League Baseball because of segregation in the United States that some folks don't want to teach in our history books. African Americans were not allowed to play in Major League Baseball, which is over a 100-year sport. And so you had the Negro League Baseballs. Well, a lot of those stats, of course, were just separated or segregated, of course, from the Negro Leagues only, did not count in Major League Baseball, and they have decided to make a decision to integrate those and bring those into alignment with the stats in Major League Baseball, Jim. And I found this very interesting.
That's definitely going to alter the record books, Tom, for certain.
So we will definitely see what happens. If you look at the implications of what this looks like, Josh Gibson is now the record holder for career batting average at 372,
Okay.
career slugging percentage at 718, single season average 466, Jimmy.
Damn.
So they are literally changing the record books as we speak.
Yeah. And there should be some other records, Tom, that are going to be altered also in pitching, and so let's, like I said, I don't think it's total. I don't think the shakeout has been complete, but when it does, I think it'll put things in more of a better perspective for people who admire baseball and the stats and the heroes of baseball to understand the relationship. There were a lot of great players, Tom, in the Negro League that did not get a chance to play in Major League Baseball. So it wasn't like the best players went over to Major League Baseball. It wasn't always the case. Sometimes it was it was the players that they thought could integrate okay or handle the pressure, and there were still pretty good baseball players also. So.
Or some of the players that they would consider to be more marketable in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that means acceptable or able to fit in. You're not going to be out there raising the power fist, saying Black Power. So anyway, that all those things factored in to Black players being allowed to come play Major League Baseball. But I think this is a good move by Major League Baseball to integrate those stats. Doesn't make sense to have a black batting champion and a white batting champion. So
absolutely,
there's just one batting champion for slugger, for on-base percentage, for steals in baseball, period. No matter if you play in the Major League or play in the Negro League.
And so we're definitely going to have to follow up on this, Jimmy, and see the implications of what this is going to mean for Major League Baseball as we move forward. But definitely a great move. One thing that we know, there aren't very many African Americans in Major League Baseball today. Most of the black players are Caribbean, Dominican, Cuban, etc. Yes. But you don't find very many African Americans. I don't know what impact this may potentially have within the next generation of getting more black players into the league. But we do know this: Major League Baseball does trail the NFL, does trail the NBA, two leagues that have really our best players and best athletes are in the big ball leagues, football and basketball. So we'll see what happens in the next generation, Jimmy.
Yeah, every park in the inner city has a football field, has a basketball court. In basketball, you need a ball and a couple of hoops excuse me, to go play. Baseball, you don't see that many diamonds in the inner city.
Correct.
Unless it's at school. You go to a park, There generally isn't a baseball diamond there. Need lots of equipment. So I could see us lagging behind. Although I think baseball is probably a lot more lucrative than football.
It
And it's
is.
probably just as lucrative as basketball.
It is.
But basketball is much smaller.
Exactly.
You only got 15 people on that team. Whereas
And you're playing 80-something games, 82 games.
Right. And so in baseball they play 100 and I think 62 games.
I want to say it was 120, but you may be right.
No, I think there's a lot more than 120.
Okay, gotcha.
I remember one season when the Yankees had like the best record of 120, and I think they play 182 games in baseball.
Gotcha.
So they play a lot of games, but still, all that money is guaranteed in baseball. You sign a $100 million contract, you get $100 million. So
guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
As your friend Charles Martin would say, guaranteed.
So hopefully, maybe we'll see more young kids, black kids going to baseball. We'll see. And also, hockey's on the horizon too. So soccer, there are other sports that are coming up also that are competing for young talent to enter into those sports.
All right, Jimmy, let's get to our last story. We've got a few minutes left. Let's talk NBA Finals. The Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics.
Go Mavs. So, Tom, I'm going to officially declare Dallas to be the city of champions. And here's why.
Please explain.
Okay. The Texas Rangers just came off a championship. The Dallas Stars just came off the conference finals, which they lost, but that shows they're one of the 4 best teams in hockey. The Dallas Cowboys, of course, they haven't won anything in a while, but they do make it to the playoffs, and they are
30 years.
They are a competitive team to get to the playoffs, even though they lose in the first round. At least they get there. And then the Dallas Mavericks, Tom, are in the championship and are just 4 wins away from winning the national champion, win their second championship. So I think when you stack that up across the board, no other city that have multiple sports can make that claim as far as success. So
Boston.
I'm declaring Dallas. Huh?
Wait a minute, Jimmy. Boston.
Boston what?
Boston, the city of Boston. You talking about the New England Patriots. You talking about the Boston Red Sox.
Okay, well, hold on, Tom. New England Patriots haven't done anything since Brady left. They fired their coach. They are a lottery draft pick team, so they get nothing. They get squat for winning this year. So
Jimmy,
go ahead. Move on to the next.
Well, I would say this: if you're talking about in terms of recent history, I get your point.
I'm talking about this year, yes. Recent history.
Come on, Jimmy. This year.
Yes, this year. So
Okay,
this year, the city of Dallas is the official city of champions.
Well, Dallas is going to have to win more championships in order to be considered the city of champions. They got to win more than just one.
They're holding us back a little bit. But Tom, we can't win in every sport across the board.
No, I didn't say every sport, but you got to win more than one. Because in that case, every team that just won a championship can consider themselves the city of champions.
So no, Tom, you have to be competitive in every sport across the board, and we are. And
well, you can say in that case, you can say we're the city of competition, not the city of champions. You got to be winning multiple championships. We
do. The Rangers have a championship, and we're knocking on the door of a second championship with the Mavs.
Okay, well, in that case, we're gonna have to give it a little bit more time.
The Dallas Stars were knocking on the door of a championship also.
But they didn't win. They didn't win,
Tom. But you know what? You can't win if you're not there. They at least
you got to win. You got to win to be considered the city of champions.
Okay, when you add up our success in all 4 sports, name me another city this year that's had as much or more success across all sports.
But you got to get through the year first. I mean, the only championship that we've had is the NFL, which of course was not the Cowboys. And then obviously you had the Texas Rangers in baseball. But if that's the case, Jimmy, you can say that Kansas City is the city of champions.
No, Kansas City
because exactly. But they won a championship.
They won a championship,
Right.
but
Just
they
like
didn't do
Dallas
nothing
or
in
Texas.
baseball.
Mhm.
They haven't done anything in baseball. I don't think they have a hockey team, and I don't think they've done very much in anything else either. And I don't know if they have a. I don't know if they have hockey. I don't know. Do they have the basketball team? No.
No, they don't have a basketball team, but you need to
So
have but Jimmy,
they only have they're a one trick pony, Tom.
but you have to have multiple teams in a city, in a
Okay,
market,
so
winning multiple
Kansas City
championships.
doesn't count because they only have the Chiefs.
But they count as much as Dallas because the only team in
No,
Dallas that
Tom.
won a championship
Okay, they
is the
count as
Texas
much.
Rangers.
They count as much as our Rangers. They have a
Right,
championship. We
exactly.
have a championship, but
Right.
we have other wins in other sports that they don't have.
But not championships, Jimmy. You said championships.
Okay, so Tom, there's only one championship. Okay, and then but after that you have to start counting wins.
Okay,
And
we can have this conversation if the Dallas Mavericks win the NBA Finals. Then we can start talking about.
the Mavs
Then we
win
can
that
start talking about
championship,
city.
Tom, that would give us 2 championships,
Exactly.
and then success in other 2 sports. They'll be hands down.
Well,
I
yeah,
think
but we don't.
hands down right now.
But we know the Cowboys are not going to win the Super Bowl.
The Cowboys
So
don't have
you
to
better-
win a Super Bowl. The Cowboys can just keep winning and get to the playoffs and let the Stars, the Mavs, and the Rangers win the championships, if that's the case. But if the Mavs win a championship, hands down, we're the city champions.
Well, the Stars had their chance and they blew it, so they cannot. No, every team has got one team winning the championship as the city champions. You got to have multiple teams winning championships. But
Well,
we will
I
see.
disagree.
We will see what the Mavericks do in this NBA Finals. It's a clean slate for the Mavericks. They haven't been to a championship in
Well,
2011.
that's
The
the
Cowboys.
tiebreakers, Tom. And the
Yes.
tiebreakers are what are the other teams doing, how far they're getting into the playoffs. And like I said, the Stars got to the conference finals and lost. The Mavs are in the
Yes.
championship. So, and
They
Dallas Cowboys
got to win. They got to
are
win
making
to
it to
be
the
in the
playoffs.
conversation.
So, but
They gotta
yeah,
win
if
to be
the
in the
Mavs
conversation.
win, then they're hand down, undisputed,
In the
definitely on this
conversation.
show. In the conversation, the city champions.
Okay. If they win, then you can have a conversation about Dallas because of the Mavericks and the Rangers.
Yeah.
But you gotta have at least 2 teams. At least 2 teams.
Tom, it's hard to get 2 teams.
I know.
It's hard
But
to
hey,
get 2 teams.
hey, Boston did it. Boston did it.
Did it with what?
When not recently, but if you look at the Patriots and the Boston Red Sox, they won championships in the same year.
Okay.
But you
Yeah,
gotta have
yeah.
at least 2 teams.
And back then, they would be considered a city champion.
Exactly.
I know Philadelphia one year did it in baseball, football, and basketball.
Oh wow.
So they were definitely city champions that year. But this year, go Dallas.
All right. Well, we got about another week and a half or close to 2 weeks. They're putting, I think, 3 days between each game. So we'll know in another week and a half what this is going to look like.
Yes, tomorrow's the first game,
Yep,
and then
game
the second
1.
game is on Sunday.
Yep,
So-
it is. We'll have something to talk about next Wednesday.
My prediction, I'm going on record because I've been been accurate so far. It's going to be 4-2. Now maybe slightly biased, but 4-2 Mavs.
Gotcha. All right. In that case, Jimmy, that is our show. We're a couple of minutes after the hour, but hey, a great show. Again, we want to thank everybody for your patience. We want to thank everybody for joining us. We got a couple of basketball fans. Look like Miss Marion Square's a basketball fan on here as well.
Okay.
And it looks like she also might be a baseball fan as well. She got a little baseball on there. So we'll be talking a little bit more about this next week. So when everybody comes back next week, I need y'all to be hollering out y'all teams next week when we come back to the show.
All right. That's a challenge. Well, with that being said, Tom, we're going to call it a night. We'll see everyone next week. And please spread the word and our link on your other social media so other people can watch and enjoy the show. We are definitely on pace, Tom, with all of our feeds, not just YouTube, but I think we're being featured on 4 of the platforms. But we're certainly going to exceed 150,000 live views this year. So pretty good. I mean, we need 150 million, but we'll
Yes, we do.
take we'll take the 150,000 and we'll just keep chugging along as we grow our audience. So anything you want to say, Tom, before we go to closing video?
If you haven't done it already, folks, make sure that you like this show and share this with your friends, and we'll see y'all next week.